Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Grakloros Facts History, the Great Calamity. So I'm talking about the devastation in the world that happened in 1167. So, prelude. In 1167, when the League of the One-Eyed took control of Rutherford, the Fiendish Gesture and the Infernal Terror were the bosses of the gang. Zirdruna put both of them in place to balance out the Fiendish Gesture's chaotic nature and the Infernal Terror's lawfulness. However, they worked together too well. The Infernal Terror let the Fiendish Gesture run wild in Rutherford, wreaking havoc and fear. All the while, the Infernal Terror found some inside Rutherford to help him through bribery and intimidation. Together, they managed to run out the local leaders, keeping the residents as hostages. Khadik Khan's plan was to split Saxland in two, using Rutherford as a base in the west to attack from Oreburg from two sides. The Fiendish Gesture and Infernal Terror had ideas of their own. Both thrived on destruction and death, and had on hand a magical artifact, the Orb of Elemental Dragons. Zirdruna sent a close, trusted official within the League of the One-Eye to keep an eye on the two bosses, as they appeared to have their own motivations. The Emerald Enigma went to Rutherford as an advisor and aide to the two bosses. He was just what they needed, however, and they used his psionic powers, which were amplified by all the emerald crystals he wore and the emerald staff he carried, to send a telepathic message to all of Saxland. The message was an ultimatum. Accept the two as the new rulers of the kingdom and swear fealty to them, or they would unleash the power of their secret weapon to destroy Rutherford and the rest of Saxland, and then the world. Lord William Blackwolf was the leader of Rutherford and its retainers, some of whom betrayed Blackwolf and sided with the League of the One-Eye. He was also in charge of a small band of adventurers who did tasks for those in need, as he and his retainers had no time to deal with such matters. The adventurers were known as Rutherford's heroes. In an attempt to make it look like they disbanded and were of no threat, Blackwolf sent them to other nations in groups of 2 or 3 to gather a few things. 1. Gather intel on the League of the One-Eye. 2. Elicit help from other nations. And 3. To search out and collect valuable legendary magic items. They were able to gather that the League of the One-Eye had a very flimsy hierarchy, with bosses pursuing their own interests while achieving the goal of social unrest that Khadik Khan was looking for. Not to mention underlings challenging bosses for power, creating paranoia and distrust among its gangs, which was not at all helped by the fact that different gangs fought each other for more power. The heroes were also able to get the help of the Isle de Gaul, Northland, and the West Isles, as well as the Empire of Turkland. They were also simultaneously able to get the help of a court of fae made up of satyrs, dryads, nymphs, sprites, and other woodland beings, as well as contracting a horde of devils led by a pit fiend that disguised themselves as militiamen from the outskirts of Saxland. With other connections, they also got the help of King Durthane Strakhelm and his dwarves of the Red Mountains. Together with the knowledge, allies, and arsenal of legendary magic items, they made their attack before dawn, before the time limit of the ultimatum was up. They caught the League of the One-Eye by surprise. They were not expecting a rebellion of such magnitude. While Lord William Blackwolf led the main army into battle with the gang members of the League of the One-Eye, Rutherford's heroes slipped through the castle's secret escape tunnel to reach the castle from behind. The tunnel was trapped to not allow access from the castle from this direction, making their journey arduous all the more. They were able to fight the Fiendish Gesture and the Infernal Terror and their closest, most powerful allies and henchmen. Before they could defeat the enemy, the Emerald Enigma vanished, and as the Fiendish Gesture lay dying, the Infernal Terror activated the Orb of Elemental Dragons before being killed as well. The Orb of Elemental Dragons. The orb, which resembled polished basalt, was tied to the creations of an ancient mad wizard. He believed he could dominate the world, including all races and beings, by combining the power of dragons with that of primal elementals. He created 5 creatures, monstrosities. He could not control the unbridled chaos that they were made of, so he enchanted the orb to control the creatures. However young as they were, the orb only helped so much, realizing that as they got older, bigger, and stronger, they would be even harder to control, and were more likely to destroy the world than to control it. Realizing his error, he put them into an eternal slumber, keeping the orb with him, a secret throughout the rest of his life as a human, and his unlife as a lich. The Summoning. As the infernal terror activated the orb of elemental dragons, he invoked the power of the creatures, awakening them to the world. The blasphemous aberrations had grown ancient while they slept, growing in power as they aged. They awoke in 5 locations. In the North Ocean, breaking through its resting place inside an iceberg, a creature resembling an ancient white dragon whose scales fluctuated between solid ice and liquid water, took to the skies. From deep in the earth, under the sands of the searing desert, a creature rose up, resembling an ancient blue dragon whose wings seemed to be made of storm clouds, and lightning and rain and sleet and hail came from it as if it were the eye of a storm as it flew through the sky. In the southern peninsula of Saxon stood a mountain covered in forest. On this day, the ground began to quake, and the mountain began to rise. A creature resembling an ancient green dragon with scales of stone covered in green moss and dirt began to walk north. The mountain was its back, making it too heavy to fly. Corrosive acid and mineral salts dripped from its body as it lumbered over the land. In the southeastern part of the world, whose volcanic islands are plenty, a supermassive volcano erupted and dark smoke rose, darkening the sky. A caldera formed where the island and volcano once were. In its place, with wings that showered embers, hovered a creature that resembled an ancient red dragon, with scales that resembled tectonic plates over a bed of molten lava. As it went forth, a pyroclastic flow followed in its wake. It is unknown where the 5th creature emerged from. The battle. The creatures came to Rutherford one by one, drawn to the orb. The heroes of Rutherford were the only chance that they had to defend against the creatures. The white dragon of ice came first. The battle was fierce, but the heroes slew the beast. Next came the blue dragon of storms. The battle waged in the skies. Blackwolf and the army watched helpless from below. The mighty creature was vanquished. However, without time to rest, the green dragon of the earth appeared from the south. The heroes fought a great battle, and though they were close to failing, the creature fell first. After receiving a small amount of much-needed aid, the heroes prepared for the next arrival, the red dragon of the flame. The battle was fraught with challenges. Apart from the pyroclastic flow that followed the dragon, its intense breath weapon was powerful and dangerous. The creature, however, was brought down. The skies remained dark and foreboding. And then came a voice into their heads. "You have defeated my king, but your kind will fall to me." The skies warped, and from the darkness came a displaced figure. It appeared in the form of an ancient black dragon, its face resembling a skull, but its scales were translucent, as were its wings, and it seemed to be filled with a hollow darkness. The black dragon of the darkness appeared and challenged Rutherford's heroes. They used up their spells and their items ran out of charges. Their bodies were weak and their morale was turning low. "You have lost. Bow to me and make me your god, and you will die a quick death, for I am death itself." But then their cleric, who was without a god, but worshipped positive energy itself, stood up and with her legendary relic gave herself up to it and exploded in a beam of energy that killed the creature, leaving not a trace behind. The aftermath. All the creatures eventually went back to Grakloros. The ice creature melted, however its coldness was no longer present and the world grew warmer. and the sea levels rose. The storm creature blew away as if dust in a breeze. The storms that it made caused much destruction before they dispersed. The creature of the earth decayed rapidly. However, all the acids and salts it dropped across the land left fields and farmlands decimated. The flame creature went dark, turned to ash and dissolved into the lake that it died in, poisoning it. Its eruption and subsequent pyroclastic flow has left the skies darkened and air warmer. The creature of darkness opened a portal, although brief. Many monsters were pulled through from different planes into this one before it closed. Although the heroes of Rutherford saved the world from destruction, they could not change the devastation wrought by the creature's paths. These series of events is now known as the Great Calamity.